Hello, hello, universe. It is 11:44, and well, if that's the board you're looking at in Texas Hold'em, ace 4-4. What are you doing in there without an ace? Seriously, what are you doing in there without an ace? You should be folding, but go ahead, run that pot down with a pair of jacks or whatever it is that you think that 4 or 5 of spades is going to do for you, but. If you're holding that in, well, let's see, blackjack, I would assume that means that you had aces, split them, and got 2 4s. That sucks, man. But what can you do? And therefore, 11:44. Let's see, it adds up to 10, so it's got that going for it. I can't think of any other way to play with the time, and since now it's 11:45, I don't even know why we're having this conversation. What I got on to talk about, well, many things, many things. But we're only going to cover like 2 of them, because if I know me, I'll ramble on about some stuff in between that's just not what I intended to talk about, and then we'll be like, should we even persist here? I mean, or is this the end of the relationship? A minute and 21 seconds in, I'd say you should be considering that. Pause. Unpause. Here we are, only 48 hours and now 13 minutes away from February, which I know all of us must be relieved, but I'm the most relieved to get the fuck out of January, and out of December, and out of November. Yay! It's about to be February, March, April. That's just so much better than where we've been that I'm very, very much looking forward to the next 90 days. And so, intending to share it with you, I am. Don't be harsh with me if I can't do it at the same pace that this whole thing started. But the fact is, I've spoken so much about so many silly and offbeat things that in some ways, I think I can only bring value on occasion when I've got something to speak about like tonight. Or if, God forbid, I actually succeed this year in trying to bring more guests into the conversation, particularly guests with unique or opposing points of view to mine, so that there can be some level of conversational back and forth that contends with the challenges of our times, rather than me just describing what I fucking think about them. Because frankly, at this point, you probably can guess 90% of my stances on things. I'm here to be kind, I'm here to be understanding, and I am here to be helpful. And if along the way I also can prove to be a good listener and offer conversational repartee with others that is enlightening for its escalation into whatever territory it ends up, well, okay, I could offer that too. And poor audio recording quality, I offer that. Pause. Pause. All right, it is now 1:26 in the morning. Hold on, pause. And now it's 1:27 in the morning of the 30th of January. So, yeah, I got a little distracted by some stuff that's happening in real time. And by stuff, I mean we have a plane that has gone down as it collided with one of our military Black Hawk helicopters in the Washington, D.C. area. That plane was either headed in from or headed to Kansas, Wichita, I believe. Not sure for sure, but I do know it's Kansas. And I do know that it is tragic because I just watched the press conference that's 3 hours after the event, and frankly, it sounds like they will be lucky to find one survivor, which is awful. And actually, in that press conference, they described that the plane was inbound and literally had another few miles, or not even that, to get to the runway. So these people were all in their seatbelts. They were all ready to land in just a minute or two, and they all went down into the river in the 9 o'clock hour. And obviously, that doesn't bode well for finding people alive, especially when the river temperatures have iced the river over. So I had to spend at least 10 minutes reflecting on the immense sorrow that's going to create for everyone involved. It's a true tragedy. And I know that these things do happen in our 21st century world. We are not immune to being the unfortunate ones to suffer these kinds of horrible coincidental events. But what it really made me do is think about just how goddamn vulnerable we are as Homo sapiens sapiens. How we are susceptible to all kinds of dangers. And for what is, quote unquote, the dominant species on the planet to be so fucking vulnerable. Well, I mean, I guess we got those big brains. We got that ability to reflect on our own position of self and identity within the grand scheme of things. And those are huge advantages, clearly, because that's really the only reason that we assembled and made it to be the numero uno persona de importance, species de grandeur. Those who, if you're aliens, you want to talk to us, well, and probably the whales and maybe the dolphins. But all that said, I still think we are incredibly frail. And so I put out my 9 things that I think make us frail list just now. Because that helped me think, well, yeah, those people who went down in that river suffered a terrible tragedy. And they must have had the kind of panicky death that I feel like I've lived at least a few times back there, if not almost every time in my past lives. But the one stain that past lives cannot help but leave residue of are the ways you've died. So, should you be terribly afraid of the water, such as I am? Well, you can bet you've drowned yourself a few times, for sure. Not to mention all the other stupid ways you probably let yourself die. But drowning, awful. It's as bad as it gets. It's as bad as fire. Pause. Pause. Aside from the extremely wacky ones, which there are enough that they can have their own group, but the absolute worst death for sure is suffocation. No doubt. It is the worst way to go. Unless, of course, you get like some flesh-eating bacterial disease that eats you from the inside out like goddamn Alien in a Sigourney Weaver movie. But beyond that, yeah, suffocation. I'd rather die in a fire than be suffocated every fucking lifetime. Pause. Pause. And for those of you who are like, well, yeah, but dying in a fire is essentially suffocation, man. You smoke inhalation's how you go. Well, A, not always. Sometimes you actually burn to fucking death. And B, smoke inhalation is not suffocation. Suffocation is literally the absence of oxygen in a position of brain complete function. Smoke inhalation, otherwise known as dying in a fire, is slow and you go unconscious in a soft state of mental disorientation. Trust me, other than the fact that you might wake up on fire and burning to death, well, that's the way to go. Suffocation it's the worst way to die. Don't go find out. Just trust me. Pause. Unpause. All right. I hear you over there. I hear you. I know. This is not your thing for me to talk authoritatively or with any kind of sense of perspective on past lives and their ultimate form of demise. This is just nonsense creativity being unleashed in a macabre and rather uninvited way. So could you please stop talking like you know anything about what you're talking about right now, because you don't. Yeah, I heard you. I get it. And yeah, I probably don't. But given all the other things that 2024 showed me in regards to my intuition and how dead on some of these mythical and mystical injections of knowledge seem to go, well, again, I'd rather die in a fire than be suffocated. So if you feel like my transgressions here are so severe that you want to put me down, I'm asking you, please choose anything but suffocation. Right, CIA? Because that's your go-to maneuver. With that and the heart attack gun. Pause! Pause. I mean, come on, CIA. If you're going to do me, I want to be a double shot to the head suicide. Please? Pause. And pause. And CIA, 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 CIA. And likely NSA and Mossad. Maybe MI6. Those of you who truly run the world. And I get that you're just the actors on the highest level of the stage. The puppet masters are unreachable. So I only speak to you because you're the highest level I can actually get on the phone. Well, I mean, obviously I'm from the 20th century. If I use the phrase, get on the phone. Like anybody makes a phone call anymore, right? We just use our phones to mute our individual expression of who we truly are. But we don't use them to make contact with another human being anymore. At least not on a phone call. Everyone dreads phone calls these days. Oh my God, someone's calling me? What the fuck is this going to be? Right? I know. Okay, so CIA, you have no beef with me. That's the thing. There is nothing in my heart but forgiveness, understanding, and kindness. And even if we can go that far, humanity between us. Because I could be in your position if I'd have, been totally different human being. But if I had been, I could easily be in your position. And obviously things that could have pushed me that way, well, they didn't happen this go around, but they could have. I'm well aware. I could have been any one of you. And knowing that, I have to open my heart of forgiveness to those with whom I share any kind of connection, Homo sapien sapien to Homo sapien sapien, which is all of you, except the shape-shifting lizard people. And all the Homo sapien sapiens, well, even the pedophiles, I have to believe in some capacity, showed up here to do good for humanity, and were broken in spirit and destiny through actions taken against them on planet Earth. And not all of these actions are malicious actions trying to turn evil people into evil megalomaniacs, but some of it is, and most of it is just the incidental challenge and overall lack of understanding that our impact on each other can truly break down the spirit of another. I mean, wherever I look, I see people who are damaged. And they're not damaged because someone came and decided you deserve to be damaged, so now I will damage you. They are damaged because of the unfortunate insecurities or misthought applications of personal behavior. Someone else came along, didn't do the right thing by them, and probably doesn't even know that they were in the wrong as they did it. In other words, humanity suffers so much incidental damage that it's just heartbreaking, because to turn it around, we just have to start believing that we're worth a full scale of self-love about everything we're here both doing right and wrong. And then how you apply that to everyone else in the universe, well, that's up to you, but that's your humanity manifesting in its true form. And I just don't see a lot of that happening. So with that said, I feel like, and we'll, I guess, get to this soon, everyone here is broken in some way. And most people are broken in ways that either A, they don't even realize, or B, no one ever intended to have that impact. It's just how it worked out. And with that in mind, having so many people with no sense of what fulfillment in life looks like, Well, I guess it's to be expected. But the fact that we're growing in that particular variable, well, to me, that's what's got to stop. And it's got to stop today. Pause. Unpause. The most generous description or overview of what my purpose here would be is to stop all of the self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy that all human beings are saddled with, or at least have as a default excuse as to why living a diminished version of life versus the fully expressed version of life that they could have, well, I'm not worthy. Yeah, I know. I know you think that. I believe you. I do. I 100% believe you. I just know you're wrong. You're completely worthy. You deserve the absolute most fulfilled and destiny-oriented life of human expression possible. But I know that 90% of why it's not happening is because they do such a good job of convincing us that we do not deserve that. In fact, we're lucky we got what we got. And if we keep bitching about shit like you're doing, do you know what's going to happen? That's right. It's going to get worse. Pause. Pause. The fact is, I will change the subject. We don't need to get lost in this weedy environment of ethereal truth. And if you're not comfortable here because this just sounds like fantastic nonsense that is being spoken by a fucking delusional idiot, okay. I don't know that, right? Come on. However, that doesn't mean that my purpose to help you figure out why it is that you think you're not worthy of the greatest expression your life can manifest, why encouraging you to completely rethink that until you come to the conclusion that, well, in fact, you are that valuable. Well, this is my way to go about it, and I don't think that's going to hurt anybody. Right, CIA? Right? Well, I mean, okay, CIA. I'll stop talking to you too, because let's face it, we just disagree on some basic things, like how to treat each other, right? Pause. Balls. All right, what time we got now? What time? Let's see. It's 1:56 in the morning, so this can only go a couple more hours before I have to cut it off so I can get some sleep. But I'm thinking I can probably get through it in maybe 33 minutes if I bust my ass and get on topic. So to my list we'll go. And I don't know that we want to go to the frailty of human beings after that whole discussion of not loving yourself enough. That might just be too much for some of the Gen Zs to take. So how about let's go to that. What today can I add to my quest to find the things in Gen Z that are more likable than I give them credit for? And today I will say that their interaction, their adaptability, their creativity, and frankly, their mastery of technology as it's advancing, well, it's fucking enviable. I know that. If not downright a skill set that I can never attain to the quality and refinement that their group generally displays. Exposes. Terrible word there. Displays isn't better, but at least it's accurate. And I speak of things like your ability to capture video is a level at which I cannot even aspire to achieve. I just hope to hold the camera the right direction. There's just so many ways in which you have seamlessly integrated today's technological necessities as life devices of useful and expressive capacity. It makes me jealous. And frankly, is one of the things I truly do not give you enough credit for. You have the inherent skill set of the 21st century that I will never have. And not only do you have it, but you are expanding it year after year after year into what it's capable of. So when I think of why you're more likable than I give you credit for, that would be on the list. Because you know me, I'm just a jealous bitch. I don't like it when other people are better at shit than me, and I can't even try to get better than them because it'll never happen. But in this case, well, good for you. Way to go. But I will say that in all this integration with technology that has essentially captured all your lives, well, you do have the disadvantage of really not even understanding what loss of privacy meant or means or will inevitably do for humanity's soul or to humanity's soul. Those of us who understood how valuable privacy was when we had it, well, when we had the illusion of it, and in many ways had enough of a bubble of it that it was viable. But that bubble's fully popped now. There ain't no going back. So until either we are decimated by a cataclysmic event or the solar flare knocks out all electricity for the next decade, well, that privacy thing is gone. And I know Gen Z is saying, yeah, we don't give a fuck because we're not doing anything wrong. Again, the idea that has been completely lost to the generation that is Gen Z and every generation that will come after them, well, to me, that looks like a big problem that will not ever be anything but a bigger problem. And then it'll be the biggest problem of all. But that's just me. Awesome. And let's unpause because I should not leave Gen Z in that sort of despair that everything in their lives leaves them in. Instead, I would say, Gen Z, what do you have to look forward to? I don't know, right? Like, not a lot. But you do have one thing. And I think it might be the pinnacle of things to have to look forward to, if we're being honest. And I get that to get to the pinnacle of things there are to look forward to, you'll have to go through the Hobbit journey all the way to the end of The Lord of the Rings. And it's going to suck and be hard and there will be pain. But the reward could be, I'm just spitballing here, but it could be that you are the generation that will fix everything. Seriously. Everything. And for that matter, recover the soul of humanity in full. Or it could be your kids. It's going to be one or the other. But it could be you. Could be you. And, I mean, at least if you're the parents of the generation that does it, well, you can take credit for it, like a tiger mom. Pause. Unpause. And I mean fix everything. Like, that's there to be had. Could be you, Gen Z. It will not be the millennials. That much I can tell you. And if you think Gen X even gives a shit, well, come on, man. What do they give a shit about? Nothing. Because what have they fixed in the whole 50 years they've been on this planet? Huh? Right, Gen X? Fuck yeah. Apathy. It's the way to go. Pause. Pause. All right. 2 community announcements. Number 1. Sooner or later, and I'm thinking like the next time or the next time or maybe the next time, but probably one of those times. If not, it'll be one of the times right after that. I think I'm going to get into how we treat our moms. So you got that to look forward to. I mean, in most ways, I will be respectful in that conversation. But if I know myself, there will be a moment or two in there that I regret. So I got that box to open, right, Pandora? Oh, no, I don't mean Pandora. This won't be that kind of devastation, but it might be the kind of devastation that at least my mom won't want to hear. Okay. I'm not going to say anything bad about my mom. That's not what I meant. I'm just saying my mom might not want to listen. All right. On that note, I think this is a good time to talk about what makes me unlikable. I think I should throw a lot of these in. Well, how many do I have? Well, okay, I got a lot. I think I should throw some of these in a way that I remind myself that, goddamn, dude, people don't like you for this reason. And for all those other reasons too. But this one too. Big time. And so with that one, I will say that I can be an overtalker. Which I know if you've listened to this at all and heard me talk to anyone, you already know this. Because I overtalk people in situations in which I'm either nervous or excited or think I have some huge level of insight to share, and you just need to hear it, which, of course, is just a terrible mind frame to be in a conversation with someone with. So these things I don't like about myself, but I've really worked to make it better. And if I do ever get into a conversation in 2025 and I record it and I publish it, well, hopefully I don't overtalk people anymore, but expect me to, because that's definitely one reason people would not like me. And maybe one of the reasons that people just don't want to necessarily take a call from me or from anybody. I mean, calls suck, right? Pause. Almost. All right. I don't know if I got far enough with what I mean when I say that I'm here to be kind, to be understanding, and to forgive the population of humanity that currently is manifesting. And by forgive, I really do find the pedophiles the hardest. I don't understand them. I don't in any way have anything to tap into to relate to them. I just find them to be the least likable among us, because they destroy innocent children in ways that cannot be repaired. So, to me, that's terrible. As terrible as it gets. But that doesn't mean that it's easy to forgive the money over people. Anybody that chooses money over people and the value they offer is fucking hard to look at, let alone forgive. Or the sellouts who will save themselves while selling out another, especially the ones who will make shit up about another to save themselves. That makes you hard to forgive. Or just the megalomaniacal people who think they should be able to rule over others and tell them how to act and what to do. I mean, you're not very easy to forgive either. Or the ones who put us in war but won't go fight themselves. The hypocrites. They're tough. The cheaters, cheating the game because they think they deserve it. I mean, when you get right down to it, hell, how do you forgive even the how do you forgive God? If God is the dude who put Job through all that shit, what the fuck is God got that doesn't need a little forgiveness? You don't do that to somebody just so that you can test how much they'll still be willing to worship you. Honestly, to me, that's maybe 2 notches below the pedophiles, and I don't know. You might be next if you're that kind of power-hungry, insecure piece of shit. But I'm assuming those tales are clearly not true, or in some capacity lacking in details that are important. So I don't think I really have to forgive God. But if that's who God is, well, I have to come around and forgive those behaviors. And I will. Because somehow, whatever it is that you have found monstrous in yourself and allowed it to express however it does in the world, some negative impact that we all must suffer, well, I've done plenty of things that I'm sure left negative impact too. I don't know that we can get through human lives without some level of stain. But I just think if forgiveness isn't our route out, what is? Retribution? Justice? Injustice? The idea of vengeance? Well, none of those make sense to me. But forgiveness, somewhere deep in my heart and in all the experiences I both have had here and believe I've had other places in other situations, make me think, yeah, forgiveness. I forgive all of us because I think we're all worthy of doing better. Given the opportunity to do good, I think we all choose that. So, forgive you, of course, even those that make it tough. Pause. Unpause. And yeah, okay, I don't need to be forgiving everyone on the planet for whatever shit they've done, Because who needs my fucking forgiveness, right? Any of you? Really? Come on, no. Of course you don't. Because all you really need to do is figure out how to love yourselves entirely and completely from top to bottom, everything about you. And, well, then you'll be the one full of forgiveness for everyone else too. Because once you understand how much you are irrelevant in the equation of humanity's soul fulfilling its own destiny, well then it's all about helping everyone else get to that point with you. So, do I think you need my forgiveness? Of course not. But I think you deserve it, so I give it to you. You do not have to take it. And in most cases, I think everyone listening will say, well, good, I don't want it. You're a fucking nut job. Okay, I get it. I still forgive you. Oh, Pauls. But what you do need from me, or at least what I owe you, I suppose, is that there were some statements in the last recording that I probably have to at least explain, if not tell you why that's even my opinion. But I let some things just sort of fall off. And one was, well, let's save that for last. One was the century of untethered greed, or the century of self, although I think that's copyrighted, so no copyright infringement intended. But the century of untethered greed has left fewer do-good opportunities for the rest of us. Well, yeah, duh. But I didn't really explain that what I mean is because everyone who has gotten into the hoarding of resources mode and is succeeding at it, and therefore hoarding resources way beyond what is reasonable for one human being. Well, when that's going on, anyone not doing that suffers, indirectly and directly. And the way they suffer the most is they have to waste their time barely subsisting and doing all the things necessary to barely subsist, which gives them no time to really do good. Simple stuff. Plus, eventually, that kind of greed, well, pitchforks. Well, not against Sherman tanks or whatever they might have in their yard, but you know what I'm saying. Like, there are enough of us. They want to just take every goddamn drop of juice out of the orange and, well, pitchforks. But there's no way we're even close to that. Not in America. Shit, man. We'd have to stop watching Wheel of Fortune for one. And that none of us really want to do. We got too much shit going on to be worried about pitchforks. That ain't happening. We're not going to talk about the porn impact on women tonight. I'm just not ready for that. As soon as I am, of course, we'll talk about it. But since that's delicate territory in which I shouldn't be wandering, we'll get to it when I feel like it. However, when it comes to assuming that population decimation is happening, and therefore I can somehow in 2,700, I want to say 18 probably years, I could meet 8 billion people, but I could not meet 18 billion people. And frankly, if I only had to meet like 4 billion people or say 4 million people, well, that wouldn't even be too tough. I could definitely get that done in 2,700 years. I might even get that done in 270. Well, no, that wouldn't be enough. But you see what I'm saying? What I'm saying is it seems like we've hit that point where future generations are going to be shrinking, and in fact, at some point, shrinking rapidly until, how long will I live? Probably to be 104 or something like that. I still don't think I can meet more than maybe 10,000 of you, but I can meet as many of you as I can, because the more of you I meet, well, the better I feel about humanity's chances. And so if I guess I could meet all of you, I'd feel great about humanity's chances. So maybe I should look into that. But for now, let's just explain that population decimation is happening. And if you don't know it, go look it up. Most people don't want to meet their neighbors, I said. Yeah, I don't know if I can even stand behind that, but I just have so much comparison material now versus my childhood that I see less and less neighborly camaraderie every time I'm in the neighborhood. Now, that could just be my neighborhood. Maybe there's block parties and all kinds of festivities going on like there were in my childhood across America, just not in this particular part of Denver, Colorado. Okay. But somehow I think I'm right. And that's why I said most people don't want to meet their neighbors. They may not have anything in common with them, and frankly, they may be annoying, so I'm just going to let that one not develop. Too risky. Okay, yep. Sometimes neighbors are annoying, but most of the time, they become your lifelong contacts and points of reflection. Even the ones who are annoying can fill that role. So, more meeting your neighbors, to me, seems like a no-brainer for anybody who feels like their neighbors aren't worth it. But saying artificial intelligence obviously does not count as the upscale looks to be going to fulfill things better than anything we expected component in humanity. I know there are people who will say that's impossible to even argue because it's so clear that AI is going to be the next great phase of human existence. I, just 180 degrees backwards of that, disagree entirely. So, it's just my opinion. You don't have to agree. I'm sure you don't. Okay. Now let's go back to the first ones. Okay. Why do I have a guardian angel? And why do I have a comic book guardian angel? And why am I even speaking of these people in these silly capacities? Okay. Number one, I definitely have a guardian angel. Unfortunately, I met her and she has passed on. But a delusional schizophrenic who walked in my back door randomly one night in 2017, February or March, not really sure, it was one of those months. Well, she changed my life in ways that even I couldn't have predicted could be so necessary. And in ways that, frankly, are disturbing to this day. But I needed a shock to my system. I needed a belief in myself that I wasn't going to find without extreme options to explore my width and depth of character, of which she gave me many. And having come through all that, and having seen and come to understand what I learned, well, I know she was my guardian angel. She just brought the sort of uptick in my resonance with my own destiny and humanity on the whole that I now know who I am and what I'm supposed to do. So for that, Lily Mae Eaton, I will always be grateful. And for the rest of your shenanigans, well, I miss you. Even the shenanigans. So I really wish you hadn't done what you did. But I do understand how much this planet took from you. So I will, in your name, continue to think of how much I can give back. If for no other reason than nobody ever gave back to you. So, again, what can I say? When it comes to having a guardian angel, yours probably won't be a delusional schizophrenic who randomly walks in your back door one night. But if that happens, and it turns out that that was in fact your guardian angel, well, you won't be the first. Now, comic book guardian angel is because some of my life just goes off on these, I don't know, multi-paneled excursions of tangential relevancy that when I finally get to the end of the spin-off series that they are, well, I can't say that I get what's going on because most of the time I'm completely discombobulated at the end and left trying to piece together how it is that my story fractured in this narrative tone when it was going over here and chugging along so smoothly. So to me, when those moments in life, the derailed narratives that do eventually cycle through, well, when you're experiencing them, it's a lot like finding yourself in a comic book and reading about these shenanigans and mishaps that, unfortunately, you're about to experience. And in doing so, there will be a lesson to learn. But one of the lessons learned will be you just can't take life that seriously. And you certainly can't think that your life has any value greater than or in comparison to another has more value. There is no such thing. We are all equally valuable. We are all here at some point or another to learn lessons and to teach lessons that we're not even aware we're here to teach or learn. It's not until you've been through the whole wash and dry cycle that you come out thinking, well, fucking A, that certainly was a way to rethink my entire existence. Maybe that's why I went through all that. And as I go through that, well, that comic book chapter feels like it's coming to a close. Which is why, in the end, I said, I have a feeling this is the last time I will be addressing my comic book guardian figurehead. Because I don't think there's anything left between us to either teach each other or learn from each other beyond what's already transpired. And I'm in a position of gratitude toward having gone through even the challenges that this situation presented in a way that were sometimes devastating and at other times completely and absolutely fulfilling. And having wandered between those levels of variance primarily from my own level of need to contribute in some way, I felt like coming through that and understanding that I have no need to contribute anywhere other than through my own kindness, forgiving, and understanding nature. Again, I didn't think I needed to learn that lesson, but by the time I got to the end of it all and had achieved a new plateau of realization regarding those particular tendencies, well, committed to them more than ever am I. I will never be anything but kind. I will never be anything but understanding. And I will never do anything but forgive those who have moments that show neither. The world's not here for us to take vengeance. The world is here for us to understand and through kindness forgive each other as necessary. Which is why I do this for all of you. I know, you don't want it, I got it. I said that earlier. I'm a fucking nut. I still forgive you. Unpause. Because this thing is getting long already. And I said we had 2 hours to go, but I'm losing steam. So it's now 2:25 in the morning. I don't really have anything to do tomorrow, so I don't have a job or anything. But I do not want to tax your time. And if you're not listening to me at double speed, I will just say right now, you're screwing up. But that's just my opinion. You can try me at half speed. Maybe that's your thing. But I would try me at double speed right now. If you're going to listen anymore, and I absolutely think you shouldn't, but if you are, well, 2 time, 2.75 time, even 3 time. Maybe your application doesn't allow that, but at least 2 times. And then it will only take half the time that it would take if you didn't do that to get through these 9 points of why we as human beings are so goddamn vulnerable, frail, and susceptible to damage. On a planet where apparently we're like the apex predator or something, or whatever we call that thing, where all other creatures should fear us because we will fuck with anybody and we will destroy your species if we don't like you. Or at least we'll try, right, spiders? I mean, I won't kill spiders, but I know a lot of people do. And if they could get rid of them entirely, they'd be okay with that. So I'm just saying, humankind has that kind of cachet. We're the ones. Don't fuck with us. And if you're the aliens, obviously we're the ones to talk to. Or at least you're going to manipulate us and put us through all that, what are the abduction routines where people get probed? Anyway, right? Like, why would you probe a goldfish when you can probe a human? I don't know, but then I'm not an alien, so those of you who are might want to call in and tell us. I said make a phone call again. What the fuck's wrong with me? All right. So, humans are frail, right? We're all extremely vulnerable to dying because we all die. So not only are we vulnerable to it, we're all basically locked in. So death is the kind of thing that I would assume happens on all other planets too. I'm just wondering if in all other planets people die giving birth. Really? I mean, your species has evolved to the point that one of the most dangerous things a woman can do in life is actually reproduce. I don't know. That seems fucked up. So that's why I made number 9 on my list. It seems like species who have the sort of staying power that maybe the Pleiadians or even the lizard people have would mean that your species eventually evolves to the point nobody's dying giving birth. You need to be able to reproduce or you know more. And if we can't push babies out without the mother being at the top, I think there's 2 other ways that women die more frequently than in childbirth. So the number 3 leading cause of death, and I could be making this stat up right now, and I apologize if this is wildly inaccurate, but I don't think it is. Women die in childbirth to the point that it's still a tragedy in the 21st century. Now, the 20th century has anything it can hang its hat on. It improved women not dying in childbirth the most of any century that we have on record. We finally got around to doing something about it. But to say that it's fixed is wrong. And to say our species isn't frail because of this? Seriously? Childbirth. That's not a way we should be dying. But we're human, so we do. And it's tragic every time it happens. We are also so useless for the first 3 to 6 years, depending on exactly what kind of human you came as. But I don't mean to insinuate that the variance doesn't exist in every single group of us, because it does. We all have those of us who have our shit together at about the 3-year mark, and then some of us who take the 6-year mark before we're even capable of outrunning the tigers. Until then, we're all tiger food. And a 1-year-old is nothing but a goddamn, well, you're a backpack, but you won't hold on because you're 1. So you're not even that. You're just something to put in a purse or whatever else you have that you can carry around a baby in, because somebody has to carry your ass around and then feed you, and then you're going to shit all over them and barf all. I mean, you're not a lot of use for a while. That's the human equation. And it's nowhere else on the planet is anybody else this incapable at infancy through the first toddler years. I mean, just useless. Liability and a pain in the ass. And a reason to be alive and the love of your life and, oh my God, the purpose of being on this planet, right? If you're the parents, something like that happens. So I get that there's some upside to having that baby, but you might die in childbirth, and frankly, they're useless for a while. And I mean a while. So to me, that makes us frail, because you're just waiting to be eaten by a lion if you're 1-year-old and somebody isn't carrying you around in a backpack, right? All right, 7. We accidentally cause our own deaths all the time. This will never stop. Okay, it's so true. I mean, you'd hope that on other planets there would be ways that accidental falling off whatever into your own death would just not be a thing anymore. Or what about like when you accidentally get that plastic bag on your head, the one that says can cause suffocation if tied around your neck, and you think, yeah, of course, and now you're suffocating, you're having the worst death possible? Well, yeah, I'll bet somebody did that today, because they're a human. We die stupidly at things that we did to ourselves all the time. And I'm telling you, when it happens to me, it's going to be me slipping and falling in the bathroom and breaking my skull. So, yes, of course I've had that death. Have you seen me in the bathroom? I slip so much. Oh my God, I can't believe I haven't done it already. I'm going to go take a few more bong hits before we get through number 6 through 1. But That'll only take a nanosecond, so pause. Predictable unpause. I say unpredictable only because the time now is 2:43 in the morning. And if you're sitting there at the hold'em table and you see the 2-4-3 flop, let's assume it comes rainbow and that suit number 4 will hit the turn, so there's no flush implications to deal with. And you're over there playing with, say, ace-5 of hearts, right? Well, that 2-4-3 flop looks fucking awesome, right? I mean, you're just like, I just flopped the nuts. Well, second nuts. But fuck, 5-6, 5-6 not in the hand, right? Or at least that would be your first thought until somebody reveals 5-6 on the flop. And then, no, they wouldn't do that. Nobody plays 5-6. Well, nobody playing Hold'em in my universe would ever say that because, well, people played 5-6 all the time. But that's not the point. That's not why it's unpredictable. What's unpredictable is if you knew, like I do, that the next card off the deck is going to be a 4, right? Because after 2-4-3, well, 2-4-4. So here comes a 4. Bam! And you're like, oh, that's a hard one. I do not want to see that card. Because now all the full houses are in play. So the flushes are gone. But anybody who's holding pocket deuces has you fucking nutted. You're done. You will just give them your money. And plenty of people play pocket deuces. In fact, in today's poker world, you kind of have to see that the unexpected is really all you can expect, because it is the chaotic player who has the ability to take the game straight out from underneath you. And pocket deuces, well, okay, so when the next card comes off the deck, which we now know is going to be a 5, after that comes 2-4-5, right? So it's a 5. All right, fuck. Now, not only did every goddamn ace chaser make it in, but you're fucked to quite a couple of sequence cards that do get played, like 3-4 or 4-5 or fucking pocket 5s, which, you know, pocket 5s has every reason to see the final card and take the pot, so you're not betting them out. Now your ace 5 is fucked to any 6. It's just, poker is a tough game. It's unpredictable. And it is a very hard place to make a living. And I say this as somebody who played a shit ton of Texas Hold'em successfully. To watch someone make a living at it is a different level of mastery of the game. And I won the first tournament I ever even got in. Most of it by luck, I admit. But it's the sort of grind to succeed at the highest level that is almost unsustainable through life. And as I see sports gambling taking over the airwaves of every single sporting event I watch, well, especially you, Gen Z, watch out. Sports gambling is the easiest way to give all your money away. I chose craps. That was dumb. But you choose sports gambling, it'll go faster than it does at a craps table. And do you know how fast craps can be? Oh my God, I once lost $29,000 in 22 minutes. That's a lot of money to lose in 22 minutes. But sports gambling? Psh, your money will go faster than that. Pause. Pause. Unplanned? No, this one was planned. Okay, this one's just to say, poker, there's a lot of skill to poker, but ultimately there's a lot of luck. And when that luck turns upside down and inside out against you, it's not to be unexpected. It's something every poker player will have to face down. And if you have the stones to come out of that, a chaotic rock, well then, maybe you are the greatest poker player that's ever lived. Until we find out someone who can truly master the game at that level, well, then as far as I'm concerned, it just gives people ways to eventually think they're not worthy. But I forgive you all and I love you anyway. So maybe you got that going for you. All right, let's get on with this. What the fuck, man? This is not something to tell you how to live your life. You want to go be a poker pro? Go be one. Be a good one. Just be a good person while you're doing it. All right. Number 6, reason we're all frail. And I don't know that this is specifically known because of some evil person thinking this is how we should experiment on children. I think something happened where babies were left without any physical touch from another human being. Infants who never felt the physical touch of another human being perished in such circumstances. Now, I admit this is one that I kind of think is fucking awesome about humans, that if we're not given some level of connective physical touch by other humans, well, we just realize life can't be worth maintaining, and our systems shut down and go out of line or offline. I think offline is more what I meant for you 20th century people. But out of line, I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's out of line that we are able to treat each other in such a way that we know this, but knowing that human babies who never receive touch eventually die from the lack of connection. Fuck, man. I mean, shit, how's that not make you frail? It seems like that might be what makes us the most frail. Because, fuck, man, we don't even want to get to know our neighbors anymore, you know what I mean? So I'd only assume this shit's on the rise. But I never had kids, so I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Let's remember that. Number 5. All of us, and I do mean all of us, cease existing within 150 years of our arrival. And I'm even including the vampires because they don't exist. So all of us die before we get to 151. And now, I know most of you are saying, 151? Dude, most of us die before we get to 120. It might even be like 119 or something. I don't know what the oldest person who ever lived is, but I know they weren't 150, which is why I chose that number, because even that number is fucking ridiculous. Do you know how short a 150-year lifespan is? It's the kind of linear time crunch that severely retards your ability to see the ethereal wisdom of the universe's whatever Akashic records you want to call that shit. Well, you can't tap into it until you actually have the wisdom of having released your ego entirely. And that's hard to do in 150 fucking human years. That's hard to do in 300 human years. But to ask us to do it like in 40 or 70 or 90, how many of us actually get there? What, 1% of 1% of us? It's tough because there is no reward. There's just suffering and misunderstanding and a lack of perspective as to what it all means. So, to me, the fact that we all die at 150 years, well, yeah, that's one of the reasons most of the rest of these are on the list. Because without that perspective, well, number 4, we are all capable of going temporarily insane. In other words, finding ourselves in a mental state where the actions we take are inexplicable by ourselves. We have snapped. We aren't ourselves in the actions that come next. We are reacting with the sort of internal, frenzy that so many of us know how closely sits to our day-to-day reality, how little it would take to push us into full snap mode. And I just don't know what to say to that, because it's not like I don't resonate with having been in such an emotional firestorm of being overwhelmed that a push from something the wrong direction could have led me to act in ways I wouldn't have been able to justify. And maybe that's why we had to come up with the difference between second and first degree murder. I like that separation of your reactive actions versus your planned actions is something we all relate to. Because knowing that exists means we know that in the heat of the moment, well, we're all capable of going temporarily insane. Is that not indicative of a goddamn frail fucking species? One would hope it is. That can't be the common thread that weaves all advanced societies together. Hey, welcome to the club. You know that temporary insanity shit's why you're so fucking creative, so fuck off. All right. I just think it makes us weak. Number 3. Okay, we are all susceptible to at least a million varieties of death. And the one we all want, well, I just want to fall asleep in my sleep. And then I want to sleep till I sleep off and die. And I don't want to feel anything. So can I just die in my sleep, please? Okay. Yeah, let's go to bed and never wake up. And let's not have any pain in the experience. Well, how many people actually get that death? I mean, probably a lot of people living in Asia and Africa and probably parts of even Antarctica. But us Americans, I'd say maybe 1% of 1% of us. The rest of us are frankly going to get jerked around by the goddamn health industry and find ourselves in some sort of predicament where they're just not going to want to cover something and we're going to die. Or something similar. Maybe we decide to step into the road and get hit by a car, or maybe we're in a car that gets in an accident and our head gets chopped off. Or, I mean, there's a lot of ways cars can kill us. That's a big killer. And the variety of things that can kill you in the ocean, besides just the ocean. I mean, who wants to go great white shark hunting? Anybody? I mean, some of you do, I know, but that's insane. You're crazy. Whatever. Go jump in front of a great white shark and see how it works out. My point is, we can all imagine at least 10,000 deaths right now. And if we were to put that in an Excel file and like cross-reference it for duplicates and then pare it down to just what we came up with, there'd be zillions of deaths that were potentially available to suffer at any given time. Well, I mean, you have to be swimming with sharks to get eaten by sharks, but that's still the kind of thing that humans just suffer. Like I said, man, human life is suffering. And you die getting eaten by a great white shark, I promise you, you will suffer. All right, let's get through the rest of these. We don't mean to be such a downer. We're here to be uplifting and remind you that you deserve the greatest life you can manifest. We believe that, which is why the next one's tough, because we all get damaged physically as life goes on. Our system deteriorates. And frankly, what death turns out to be most often is watching your body deteriorate so rapidly, it decides to give up. It knows the fight's over. The struggle to maintain health and stay in a capacity of what can be only considered bright prospects for the next year and the 15 behind it, it takes work. You got to eat well. You got to exercise. You got to take care of your mind. You got to do the things that, frankly, make today's life feel overwhelming. Taking care of yourself should not feel like a responsibility that you don't have the time for or the energy for. It's the one thing that you'd think you'd be able to do without even having to consider it. What's good for me and my future health should be number one priority against all other comers. But it's not. And here in America, we just, in some ways, have given up. We don't care. We got to die from something. Might as well be Diet Coke or Coke. But whatever whatever you are capable of thinking can make your life livable, even if it's going to kill you. I feel for those people the most. I've been addicted to drugs in the capacity that they would provide the only relief from the overwhelming sense of foreboding doom that was most of my unstructured life. And while all of that boiled down to me thinking I wasn't worth being the person I truly am, to be as forgiving and kind and understanding as I have the capacity to do, well, once I settled on knowing who I really was, the idea of physical degradation is my greatest fear. I think it's the only reason that I'm in the best shape of my life, is that I know if I'm going to persist through everything that's coming, I have to be as strong and as capable as I've ever been. So, again, to me, those intuitions of which I had failed at every time before, well, they now have control of me in a way that I cannot see ever thinking anything other than I need to be the best version of myself that's available at every time that I check in on that. If I see something that isn't at its absolute peak possibility and performance opportunity, I need to work on it and get myself there. So that's why I think when you listen to 506 or 7 or whatever this is now of these and think, well, I know one thing you could improve. This. I say I agree. Which is why I will always, always strive to do this in the most honest and revealing capacity that I can. And the damage we take physically, if you're willing to commit to the idea that you deserve to be the healthiest you that can possibly exist, well, it's minimal. You'll deteriorate in a way that you will have some control over. But if you just buy into the McDonald's coupon points or whatever 7-Eleven nutrition value you are choosing to opt for today, that physical damage can add up quick. And the last thing I want to see is anybody have to deal with physical damage that they didn't deserve because society talked them into being somebody they weren't. But, I mean, it happens all the time. I just hate to see it. Which is why, number one, I hate to see the most. Having suffered, number one, to a degree that most people wouldn't even consider their lives capable of suffering, well, we all have mental damage. And it's shocking to me to see mental damage escape or present itself in somebody for the first time. Because every time I meet somebody new, I think maybe this is the person for whom no damage has ever occurred to give their mind the sort of thoughts of inadequacy that say they don't deserve something. Well, it's always been disappointing in the end. Well, that's not true. I did meet one glorious soul one time. But beyond that, I have always seen eventually someone suffering. And the suffering that they incurred without anyone knowing it was happening or initiating it in ways that were intentional. But this you can overcome, fortunately. Though this is number one because we all suffer it. This is the one that the more you can admit to yourself that your gifts to humanity matter more than anything you receive, well, you can save your own soul, as it were. And certainly all of the broken behaviors that have put you in places that you never believed you'd go, well, you can overcome all of that. But since we're way past an hour on this one already, and I have absolutely nobody listening to this at this point at all, really not even me, I just feel like this is something we'll tackle maybe next time. Even though maybe next time is going to be about how we treat our mothers, but maybe next time we'll just be explaining why I went so long that at this juncture of time, well, let's face it, not a single other person is listening. So I'll just say, I forgive you. Not that you want my forgiveness. Not that you need my forgiveness. Not that you even think about it. Not that I'm talking to anyone. But if I am, well, first of all, go out there and love yourself entirely so that this relationship never, ever crosses your path again. Because once you love yourself entirely, well, that's when the world starts to make sense.